Hi, welcome back to Cubs and Culture for January 18th, 2018. Um, Continuing sort of the maybe forthcoming issue about the players just being upset with the owners. This sort of issue, of course, has happened in the past. For example, the 94 or maybe the 95 World Series was canceled because of the players' strike, which at one point really severely injured the sport. I just want to point something out that player salaries have always been a little bit kind of wonky, and good players have always been taken care of, and even today, apart from all the multi-million-dollar contracts, any sort of player that plays, I think it's 30 games, like 30 days in the major leagues, is eligible for their pension plan. Which I think it ends up being like $30,000 a year or something if you're on their pension plan, so it's pretty substantial. Anyway, to talk about how like players have always sort of been taken care of, there's famous story about Babe Ruth, who I think it was in 1929. It was either 29 or 1930. Was given an $80,000 contract, which for the time period was huge. And he actually made more money than Herbert Hoover. And the reason why the year is important is, of course, 29. It might have been in 1930. The point of the matter is, Ruth got this contract, and the Great Depression was just starting up. And he was being paid more than the president, and someone asked him, do you think it's fair that you're making more money than the president? And he responded, well, why not? I had a better year. Which is sort of funny, but it's also sort of shows how we kind of always sank a lot of money into players. Now, the other sort of thing that sort of bothers me about this is because in the way in which the system is split between free agents and arbitration and first year players, is the actual, there's still inequity between veterans versus rookies in terms of like contributions. So like for example, in 2016, Anthony Rizzo was worth 6 WAR. Whereas Javier Baez was worth 2 WAR. Now remember, I also think WAR systematically undervalues players like utility players because it doesn't really take into account his ability to move all over the field. So, even setting that issue to the side, Rizzo was worth 3 more wins, 3 times as many wins as Baez. But because Rizzo is on a contract for $12 million a year, and Baez is just at the start of his career, where he's basically at the league minimum, which is $600,000. Anthony Rizzo is paid 12 times as much. And that doesn't strike me as fair. It's because of issues like this, I rather see reserve system itself just at all go away, make every single player a free agent, because if every player is a free agent, even though how horrible that would be, for having to see if your favorite players going somewhere else, it should make the market freer, which should do more to lower salaries in sort of a fair way without collusion or whatever. And so the reason why this bothers me, so here's the thing: if players were taking $100 million or whatever their contracts were, and then the owners weren't also billionaires, maybe I would feel differently, because then at least all the costs, all the fan money the fans put into the sport would at least going to the players. But that's not how it works, because as much as players get paid, the owners get paid more. Is because of the capitalism of the system. So the thing is, player salaries rising absolutely has an effect on fan costs. So, like, look, Cubs fans are, because the team has always been sort of popular regardless of success on the field. In fact, in terms of ticket price elasticity, meaning how sensitive the ticket price is to certain factors, the Cubs have always been the least sensitive to winning percentage, where ticket prices for the Cubs basically stay the same regardless of the quality on the field, whereas someone like the Red Sox, ticket prices go, if the Red Sox don't have a good team, the Boston fans don't show up, and so the ticket prices bottom out and drop. Anyway, Cubs fans, for whatever reason, and I think it's sort of a quaintness about us, is we're more sensitive to beer prices. So, like, if Wrigley Field raises the price of a beer too much, we're less likely to show up, regardless of the play on the field. Anyway, listening of a side thought. The point of the matter is, it's really hard. If you are a family of four going to a Cubs game, even if you do it where you get nosebleed sections in the outfield, and you don't, like, it's at least for a family of four, like a ticket in the nosebleeds, even the cheapest games are $30 after taxes and everything, which means just for the tickets for the family of four is $120. Or if you want better tickets of $80, $90 or whatever, better seats, it's very easy for like a family of four to go to the a Cubs game and spend $1,000 on just between tickets and concessions. So, like, I sort of hinted before about this, about how the pace of play, young millennials and next gen aren't really interested in the sport because of the way in which it's too slow or whatever. I actually think the bigger problem facing the sport in terms of popularity is it's really hard to afford to be able to consistently afford to be able to go to a game for a team that is competitive. Now, if you happen to live in like St. Pete's with the Rays, of course you could go every single game because they have trouble selling tickets, or the Marlins. But anyway, to see like competitive baseball on a consistent basis for like the Yankees or the Giants or the Dodgers or the Red Sox, it's really expensive, and so players' salaries are a part of that. And so I don't believe the owners are colluding with each other. But if they are, or if the luxury tax threshold is working working as more of a harder salary cap than we want, then I'm all for it. Because I rather I don't like. Right now, the players and the owners are screwing the players and the fans, and the players are somewhat helping the owners screw the fans. I'd rather see it where, I know this isn't actually happening, but maybe eventually, because of the part of my reason why I'm not overly concerned about prices, popularity of baseball increasing necessarily, is eventually, if it becomes unpopular enough, it could force costs down, costs for tickets and gear, etc., down, which I think is actually what should happen anyway to help the popularity. Look, just to use sort of an example, if I wanted to buy a jersey for Baez at full price, at women $120. Like, as a person who was an adjunct and doesn't kind of exists at sort of the working class tier of society. I can't afford to sink $120 into a jersey. So you're constantly just looking for deals and stuff. Anyway, I'll be back in a moment about why I think it's important for getting people actually to go into baseball parks as opposed to watching it on TV or listening to the radio. Okay. See you in a sec.